Hi, it's Roger Hitchcock. Join me evenings starting at 7, right after Savage on Talk 910 KNEW.
I want to now pull back from this expose about Goldman Sachs, the robber barons of our time, according to this article in Rolling Stone, that claims that Goldman Sachs has engineered every major market manipulation since the Great Depression, and they're about to do it again, they say, with the so-called global warming bill or cap and trade, which is one of the greatest scams in history. Al Gore is right in the center of that. You have to read the article in its entirety. I did it, in the middle of the night. It was not, I couldn't stop reading it because I learned kind of everything I had suspected in a broad sweep, but I didn't have the facts. So whoever wrote this did an amazing job. It's a wonderful piece of journalism, written by a far-left radical who obviously would be on the opposite side of everything I believe in, but doesn't matter to me because I look beyond party. I look to the truth, wherever it may lie. Many of these people are so doctrinaire they can't look beyond their own political orientation. If you remember during the Dubai ports deal, which you helped stop, I had Charles Schumer on the show. People said, how could you do it? And I said, because politics makes strange bedfellows. So I look beyond the politics and I look at what appears to be truth. This thing rings of the truth. Okay. Now, I read the article and I see these men. They made my flesh crawl, and they still do, this type of man. These men always made me very uncomfortable as a human being. Just looking at them, I almost felt as though I was watching a horror show like Halloween. I looked at their eyes, and I didn't see human beings. I saw psychopaths. I'm telling you how I see them. They hire PR agencies to make them look like honest family men or fly fishermen. But if you actually watch them and look at them, what you see are empty souls who live only for the dollar. They are, in essence, psychopaths. Psychopaths come in many forms. Some are oriented around sexuality. Others are oriented around money. Some are oriented around the thrill of criminality. Others are oriented around gambling. A psychopathic behavior can take many different forms. The obsession with wealth and the obsession with money and screwing people. By the way, you have to understand it's not just a desire to make more money that drives these men. It's a desire to cripple you. They get their rocks off, in other words, and hurting you. They love seeing you suffering. They love seeing you without a pension. They love seeing you in a broken trailer park. They love it as they summer in Martha's Vineyard. Make no mistake about it, they're laughing at you. This is how I see it. Now, I want to make this a little more personal. Over the years, when I was an ordinary American before radio, and make no mistake about it, I'm in the media, so therefore I'm not an ordinary person in that regard. I have a very honored position in radio. I worked for it. You helped me get here, but whatever. What I'm saying is I'm a member of the media elite. Whether or not I accept it, I am. So therefore, I'm not you in that regard. But, for all the 40 or so years that I toiled as a researcher, writer, consultant, and every dime I earned through something I either wrote or produced as a worker. And I used to almost curse myself for being stupid. I used to say to myself, oh, here I am writing a book. It takes me 2 years, 3 years. I make back just barely enough money to cover my bills. I have to, do other things in order to make a living. Why am I not smart like these guys who fly fish? Why am I not smart like these guys on Wall Street who know about CDOs and high-flying fiduciary instruments? I said, what's wrong with my gene pool that I couldn't become as smart as them? I used to ask myself, how could they be so smart? I didn't know that they weren't that smart. They were that criminal. I, unfortunately, do not have a criminal mind when it comes to money. That's the truth about me. They do. Fundamentally, they have criminal minds, but they're so beyond being an ordinary criminal that they buy politicians, so therefore they have the aura of legitimacy, according to my estimation. How do you differentiate between low-life, organized criminals who set up boiler rooms in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, who ran up stocks that had no value, okay, made you, the dentist or the doctor, buy them for $8 when they were worth 1 cent, took their money out, you were left with nothing. They were called boiler rooms. How do these guys differ from boiler rooms? Answer, the scale is larger and they own the government. That's what this article says. What do we the people do is the question.
Savage.
Michael Savage.
Afternoons 3 to 7.
On Talk 910 KNEW.
And online at 910knew.com.
Here we are on the Savage Nation. Welcome back. If you've been listening for an hour now, we have covered for 1 hour a new article about Goldman Sachs, the great American bubble machine, which says that Goldman Sachs has engineered every major market manipulation since the Great Depression and are about to scam you again with the global warming bill that Obama just pushed through with Nancy Pelosi because it's the greatest criminal act in financial history. They did it to you with the tech boom. They did it to you with the housing boom, and they're about to screw you now with the carbon credits. It's all a scam. Read the article. And strangely, it came from the left-wing publication. Right now, I have a new article that just appeared moments ago in Newsmax that I'm shocked to see. The headline by Jim Myers is, British government says we did not consult the United States on Michael Savage exclusion. I don't know how in the world this article got published. I don't know why the British government would suddenly assert that it never consulted with President Obama's administration before placing Michael Savage on a list of people barred from entering England. Why would they do this unless they were covering their tracks? In other words, think about what I'm saying to you. What would motivate the British government to come out with an official statement saying we did not consult the United States on a Michael Savage exclusion? They're covering for the Obama administration. They're governments. They can do whatever they want. They can predate and postdate emails and letters. They've got all the power. If you got Goldman Sachs running the Treasury, why should I trust any government with regard to what they're saying at any time about anybody? I'll read this to you. It's from Newsmax.com. I'm linking it up on michaelsavage.com. It's a mind blower. The British government has asserted that it never consulted with President Obama's administration before placing conservative talk radio host Michael Savage on a list of people barred from entering the country. But the British government, headed by Prime Minister Gordon Brown, did acknowledge that British and American officials have since discussed Mr. Savage and Britain's policy on exclusion. That means that they're post-dating the predated conversation. In other words, they're doing it now, but they didn't do it then. I don't believe a word of this. On May 5, British Home Secretary Jackie Smith placed Savage's name on a list of 16 undesirables banned from the UK for, quote, stirring up hatred and promoting extremist views. The agency claims Savage was engaged in unacceptable behavior by seeking to provoke others to serious criminal acts, which is total rubbish. In banning Savage, Britain lumped him together with Hamas lawmaker Yunus al-Astal. And by the way, Chris Ruddy, you ought to add the Hamas lawmaker bashed in the head of a 4-year-old Jewish child. He's not a Hamas lawmaker, Chris. Hamas lawmaker Yunus al-Astal was in jail in Israel for 10 years for shooting 2 young parents, and when he found a 4-year-old Jewish girl crying, he smashed her head in with a rifle butt. And 2 Russian gang leaders who were imprisoned for their role in a racially motivated killing of 19 immigrants. By the way, Savage's show is not broadcast in Britain. At the time, there was some speculation that the banning of Savage, an Obama critic, could be connected to a lawsuit he filed in mid-April against Department of Homeland Security Janet Napolitano over a DHS report suggesting U.S. military veterans could be targeted by right-wing extremists. You can read the rest of the article. It says, following publication of the list, Home Office and blah, 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 have discussed the government's policy on exclusion with American officials. That is total rubbish, in my opinion. They're covering their tracks. This means beyond a doubt that it is the U.S. government that sent my name to England and said, put him on the list because we hate his guts and we'd like to neutralize him. I see their hands all over this. Do you want to comment on this? Why would the United Kingdom choose Michael Savage and put his name on a list with murderers when my show was not even broadcast in England? Why would they seek me out, of all people? After all, there are others who are far more popular than me. There are very famous talk show hosts who do virtually the same thing I do. Why was I chosen? Could it have something to do with the lawsuit against Janet Napolitano? And why is it that when I appealed to Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State, to intervene on my behalf about 2 months ago, month ago, saying you may not like my politics, but I am an American citizen, and I'm asking you to intervene on my behalf, why did Hillary Clinton refuse to do so? How will that help her or hurt her when she wants to run for the office of the presidency years from now? Will you remember that Hillary Clinton refused to act on my behalf? Or on the other hand, if Hillary did intervene right now and move to get my name off the list because it's illegal, by the way, it violates European Union law. Don't get me started. They're violating my human rights according to European Union law. If you don't believe me, look at EU law. It's on michaelsavage.com in the original publications and the original filings, which we sent to Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton gave us the middle finger. She did nothing for us. She can still redeem herself and prove that she is not partisan. She can still appeal to the half of America who detests the Democrats, who fear Obama as a Marxist, and fear her as well. She can redeem herself. If her handlers had any sense, they would say this is your greatest opportunity to show yourself as a fair-minded, nonpartisan Secretary of State. It will help you when you run for office.